family with you today.
Yes, and a few friends.
And a few friends. Thank you so much for joining us. You're with Gerald Pauschmann and The Point TV. Today I've got a very special guest. His name's Dave Piggott, and you're with Mosquito.
That's it.
I tell you, when I go through something like this, I have a look at everyone that's doing some wonderful things right around the world. Some people will do when it comes to animals, the big animals, the elephants, the tigers, the lions, you know, the rhinoceroses, the big five. And then you'll have other people that will do things with children, you know, about protection of children or domestic violence. You've gone for the smallest animal or insect in the world, a mosquito.
And the most dangerous.
And the most dangerous. And that's what I want to talk to you about. Why the mosquito?
It's beautiful.
Okay.
Ever since I was a little kid, I've been into bugs. When I was 7, I wanted to be a biologist from then on. So nothing's changed. So I didn't discover mosquitoes until I was employed to kill them. And it was then, as soon as you look at something a bit closer to find out about it, that I saw how beautiful it was, not just how deadly it was.
So let's go right back to the point where at some stage, I mean, we all know those, and I'm going to say those pesky little things. They kind of like only get you at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you can hear them from a distance, can't you?
It's even more precise than that,
Is
Gerald. Yeah, it'll be dawn and dusk or about 10.
Oh.
About 10 o'clock. So the 10 o'clock, so they prefer birds, actually. That's why, because they're all nestled down. Ones at dawn and dusk, they prefer the mammals and us. So that's when we sort of slow down and have a break, and that's when they're waiting. So
at what point, at what age were you when you woke up one day and you just thought, this is going to be my life? My life is going to be all focused on not only bugs, but in particular that beautiful little animal called, or insect called the mosquito.
25, 30 years ago. It was really when my
You were
daughter...
7.
Well, that's when it first kicked off, but I stuck the baby birds out of nests and things like that, and then moved up through and mainly just caught the insects to feed to the baby birds. Yeah. Things like that, or just to monitor them. But I had a whole wall full in my garage of pinned and nailed insects of all the different ones. So I've been trapping them since I was 6, 7 years old. My first private consultancy was to my neighbour who had a fear of spiders, and he literally paid me threepence for each spider that I would capture, and they were these big huntsman size. Yeah. So I got threepence per spider when I was 4.
For the kids out there, a threepence is what?
Well, it doesn't even exist anymore, but it's certainly less than a cent.
Okay.
So
it paid your worth in gold, eh?
Yeah, and a long time ago. I started early. So I've been a private pest management consultant all my life.
Wow, okay.
But to do this, what really kicked me off was because I knew about insects, I was working on a couple of different farms, and one was a palm nursery, and they needed someone to do their spraying. So because I knew bugs and critters, they asked me, and I thought, yeah, this is great. And then part of what I learned from doing the course and what we were using was that there were some really nasty pesticides in here, and this is what was being sprayed. And people were handling this. And that's what first, because I'm an environmentalist all my life, then that's neglected area. So I got into this because no one else was really looking at it, and it was doing a lot of damage in the environment.
I want to talk to you about that damage. What sort of damage can we talk about within the environment? We know what they do to humans, and we know some of the diseases which are killing millions of people around the world, and we do have to contain it. And that, I think, is the premise really behind this talk here today. But damage to the environment, what's happening out there?
Well, it depends on what methodology and what you do to combat mosquitoes and how you see the mosquito. So if you see the mosquito as something to eradicate, it's not the right way to look at it. Yeah. It's food to so many things, both in the water as larvae, to fish and a lot of other predators there. It's also food outside in the air and once it comes out as an adult. The role that it plays against us is just, it's not the mosquito's fault, it's a virus that chooses to hitch ride with it and works with it. The mosquito just needs to go around and get a blood meal and do its business. So it's what's happened is people have looked at pesticides as the solution rather than modification of their habits, modification of habitats. It's very much about niches, so there's a lot of mosquitoes around. It's not just 1 or 2 or half a dozen. In this country, it could be anywhere up to 400 species. They're all in different habitats. Some are sharing those habitats. Some are in salt marshes, some are in fresh water, some are in containers in your backyard.
Yeah, yeah.
Now the problem is dealing with the salt marsh breeding mosquitoes is what most councils are dealing with now. And there was the use of pesticides ever since the Second World War. I spoke with a farmer who'd watched as a kid, the Marines or the American soldiers go around Pine Rivers area and spray kerosene and things and then DDT into these areas. And then organophosphates, synthetic pyrethroids. They kill fish, they kill lots of what's in the waterways. There's no food around. So that way of doing things is not the answer. It's doing a lot of other damage. And when you go into developing countries where tourism and their environment is on much more smaller scales, small islands, small areas, if we're using pesticides in those areas, you're going to be taking out a lot of non-target and damaging the ecosystem. So we need to look at how can we do this and be viable and sustainable without using pesticides, for instance, or getting it so that it is actually eco-friendly.
Well, Dave, I think that's where I want to head down. You're with The Point TV, and we've had one of the most passionate people I've had on here for a very long time. If you heard him speak, I haven't even had a chance to ask him a question. The man is just ready to talk more. When we come back from the break, we're going to ask Dave, especially around what methods do we use to get rid of the mosquitoes rather than using all these pesticides? So we'll be back in a very short period of time. Talk soon. Coming up on The Point TV.
The good thing is that the times they are changing.
Yeah.
And
later.
So simply, it comes in two halves. It breaks into two halves. And it has both.
Welcome back. You're with Gerald Pauschmann and The Point TV. Just before the break, if you missed this, I tell you, you need to rewind and listen to this man speak. Dave, I'm going to be a little bit controversial here because with the research that I've done, I'm thinking that I've got a lot of friends in council and they do a wonderful job.
Yes.
But when I see them in the boat or I see them in helicopters or aeroplanes and they're doing spraying and they're spraying pesticides into our environment, I kind of think that can't be right. It's just spraying anything where there's a pesticide that's going to kill something that's going to then going to be a food source for someone else or something else can't be doing the environment well. So I would like to say this, and you don't have to say it because I've done my own research. Get your filthy hands off our environment, and will you stop putting pesticides in this wonderful country that we live? Now, reaction. And I'm allowed to say this, so off. It's my show. I'm allowed to say anything. Eh? Beat that out. Sorry for taking the floor just for a second. You know, I've got to eat this stuff. Do I eat the fish?
And there's a lot more thought going to it, but we need more thought because as soon as there's a panic and a worry, such as Zika or dengue happens, generally because it's in mass or we need to stop it, it's turned to the pesticides. And it really isn't the answer. If it was, they wouldn't still be there because a lot of the places around the world that are still suffering from these mosquito problems have been sprayed with pesticides. And there's different places. So when people see those helicopters flying around, certainly in places like Brisbane and the outskirts, it's to deal with salt marsh mosquitoes.
One type.
Pretty well.
One type
Aedes
of mosquito.
vigilax. So because of Ross River and because of the nuisance factor. And that's a tidal salt marsh mosquito. It's pretty predictable. It's monthly on certain tides during mainly summer periods. There's more than that, just that one, but that is one of the major pests. But then there's lots of other types of habitats that mosquitoes breed in, a terrific amount.
Yeah.
Some of those are open marsh mountain areas, so it can be freshwater, very difficult to deal with. You can't just go spraying anything around, and there's a lot of ecosystem to be concerned of. And the other is the container habitats, which are in your backyards. Now that's almost impossible for council or local authorities to get to. It's so many different habitats.
Oh, they've got to go through every backyard, wouldn't they?
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
And you could imagine the rates lift that would have to go on to fund just the workers to go out there and be monitoring. So it's not really satisfactory, but we all need to help them. Yeah. We need to help researchers such as Dr. McDonald and what she's doing, and that's what we're doing with this project and program, is helping her. But we also need to be helping the local authorities and the health departments, because we need to work as a community for these mosquito problems, with these viruses, with these diseases that they carry. Now, there's not just dengue, there is Zika, there's malaria, there's chikungunya, there's filariasis, there's encephalitis of different types, and wherever you go in the world there's variations of this. And so what we need to do is start working as a community, and looking as a trapper, as a mosquito trapper and an environmentalist and a community worker. That's what my assistance for the solution is: a simple trap.
Right.
That's made from recycled plastics if you want to.
Yep.
It's got no pesticides, it's got no moving parts. All you need to do if you want to add anything is just water. That's one of them. And that can be placed out there. So that's helping environmental, also waste management. A lot of the plastics that are lying out there are artificial breeding habitats for mosquitoes in your backyard, or in little bushland habitats where there's plastics have washed away and are collecting. So we need to remove these plastics. Now, what do you do with plastics? So what we're looking at here is, let's provide a solution within the problem. Remake those into these plastic mosquito traps that capture, and therefore they're not going out to re-bite anyone, they're not going out to lay eggs. We can collect samples, as we're doing for Dr. McDonald and helping her to collect samples for testing of viruses.
Excellent.
So it's trying to value add and bring everything in together. So what Osmosico looks at, and has always looked at, is finding low cost, low tech, if it needs to be, solutions that can assist all of those people. So it can help the individual people in the community so that they can help remove and play a part in this bigger picture. But it also helps with the local authority or the health department or the researchers to gather information, utilise what they're doing to get a bigger picture viewing.
I love what you said about getting the community involved. Would you start off with, with say maybe even school kids doing a bit of a project?
Well, that's what we're doing,
You're
exactly
doing
what we're doing. I've been doing community education, and especially with schools, for the last 30 years. And to me, it is a pathway that works, because they're our future. So with what we look at here, how can we get our community involved? How can we get them assisting in such large numbers? School students. So if there's no dangers or anything involved and it's beneficial, it brings them in contact with science, universities. That's what we want for our future, for our students. So it ticks a lot of boxes. Industry even. That's jobs to produce. So if we would get these out, and school kids across Australia, we're looking at PNG, we're looking at China. So we have interest in Bangladesh, China, India, also in PNG. We're looking at a few more of the South Pacific countries that we can help. So we can even go in there and we can help with micro business. So you can do plastics recycling on small scales and start a small microfinance business with local people, recycling out of the habitats and out of their areas the resources they need to remake these into traps that then can go out there and be placed cheap and in everybody's place. It gives jobs, it cleans up. It's quite simple, and most of the ingredients I've ever worked on as my original designs are bamboo and coconut. You can use bamboo and coconut for amazing things.
See, what I'm surprised about is that we're going to have a look at your product in a moment. Well, it's not even your product, it's a product.
Yes.
It's one that's out there that I think, you know, when you showed me earlier on, I think it looks like it's amazing. Well, when we bring it out after the next break, I think we'll have a look at it and you can tell me more about it. But what's stopping every family member having one of those now?
Awareness. Most people don't realise there is such a big problem.
So what are we using at the moment? So if I head down to my local
Nothing
hardware
but
store...
good advice. Councils and authorities would say clean up around your property. Don't
rid of your water
provide these. Yes, exactly, and that's really
So
good
there's no
advice.
trap?
No,
if I go into my local hardware store?
I would not call them a trap, because if you don't put a sticky glue with them, or if you don't put a pesticide with them, or if you don't have a retaining fan with them, they're not a trap, they're just a breeding habitat. So you can design something that works very, very well, as long as you've got a pesticide with it or an attractant. And that's not, it's not the be-all and end-all of it, but it's ongoing costs. So it's all very well for a developed country that's got a bit of coin in its pocket, but what about for people that are living on under $2 per day, under $5 per day? Now, they can't afford to go and be doing this, so you've got to try and find a valuated life, almost like a life cycle itself. So look at something in a 360-degree view. How can we not just make something that works, like a trap, and there it is, here's a trap, give me some money, bingo. No, because there's so much more that you can add on to that. That's just a tool. But that little trap, that little tool, which requires no ongoing cost, no other, it's recycled out of the environment, it's simple, it can be effective, can actually link your whole community. Kids do the monitoring, they give the information to the councils, the traps are made local, people can even go out and clean up on Australia Clean-Up Day, pull all the plastics in, put it through a local plastics factory, turn it into these traps, put these out and have them given out by councils, sponsored by them, funded by this sort of thing, so that here, have a free trap. Instead, here's a free tree, here's a free trap. We need you to work with us.
Are you as excited as what I am? Like, seriously, I wish Dave was a little bit more communicative. It would be a lot easier to get something out of him. When we come back from the break, we're going to bring the trap out. It's like we're going to introduce we're going to bring the trap out, have a look at it, and you're going to talk us through exactly how this works. So stick around, because this is the exciting part. See you soon. Hey everyone, Gerald Pauschmann here. You know, being the host of the Point TV allows me to listen to people like you and me who have incredible, inspiring, and sometimes sad stories. As the presentation coach, I can help you present your story the way it deserves to be told. So why not get in touch with me via the link below and let me tell your story the way it deserves to be. Welcome back. You're with Dave Piggott, Osmozzy Co. Dave, what's this?
This is one of our traps.
Okay, so far it looks to me like it's I don't know, it's lightweight, it's easy, talk to me. There's a little hole on the top. What's going on there?
This is an ovipositional trap, and it's designed to attract certain species of female mosquito to lay their eggs inside. There are some reasons where some traps you will use the CO2, where they're going to get a blood meal as to attract them, and other ones you'll use the eggs to get them, and that's what this is for. So simply, it comes in two halves, it breaks into two halves. And it has, both have a spout into it, so that from either direction, the mosquito can enter from underneath or above if you hang this. It's designed so that whatever position on the ground it's placed, it can be rolled away, it could even be picked up in a flood, taken away, deposited again. It will always keep working. It's designed to fill and to empty, so that the internal water level, which is a dynamic that must be with these mosquito species, go up and down, and that's what this is designed.
So for the uninitiated, the numbie that's sitting right opposite you, what goes in here?
So in this one is in the outside, and the mosquito goes in here. They prefer black. So this is the outside catching trap. This version here is for the students. Doesn't matter anywhere else really, but it's for the students with the project that we're doing, looking to do. We're crowdfunding for that. We hope to get funding. If we don't get the funding, we don't get to do the project. It's a very important project to do. So what this is for is part of the education side of it with the kids in the school. And what we want is we want to utilise students and schools in different areas to be working with their local authorities and their university researchers, such as Dr. McDonald, and all working together to capture mosquitoes and then study and be able to monitor and deal with them better. So this trap is designed that once the mosquitoes have laid their eggs in here, there's these little paddles that are inside that are a part of that. They lay those eggs on those paddles. The student would then take the paddle out of the trap that they will have at home sampling their backyard, bring it into class as part of the class study in life cycles, metamorphosis of insects, etc. And they would pour some water in there, and then they could observe the life cycle as it goes through it of the mosquito from egg to adult. So they'd put some water, their egg paddles in there, which the mosquitoes have laid eggs on in their capture trap. They'd simply screw the top on the top here, put that there, and then for that week they can observe each day that they come, they would see that their larvae has molted and grown 4 times and turned into a pupa, and then would hatch out inside here as an adult. So they can see the whole life cycle, learn about the mosquito and how it functions out in the system, and also retain it safely.
So this one's purely for student, so they can observe and see the whole thing. But this is what you would put in every garden, in every spot.
Yeah, because black's more attractive to a mosquito than clear.
I'm just a little bit confused because, okay, black mosquitoes are attracted to black, but what gets the mosquito to come to here?
Okay, so inside here is, it wants to lay its eggs, it needs water to lay its eggs.
Yep.
So inside here would be water.
Is that it?
That's all you need, nothing else, just water. Because this is a true trap and it's designed to draw and attract the mosquito and let the mosquito in. But it can't come back out again by the principle of the funnels.
Right. So
that it can work its way in easily enough, but when it tries to come back out, it isn't able to fly out straight away because its wings are widened, whereas coming in through the funnel, it's landed and will crawl in. So it's knowing how they operate, that's the start. So once the mosquito's been attracted and drawn inside this trap specifically to lay eggs, that's all.
That's it.
It can't get back out. And the eggs that can hatch in there and can come out in larvae and hatch into adults, but they can't get out. So no more from that mosquito biting, no more from that mosquito laying eggs.
The tests that you've already done with the schools, has there been like amazing...
We haven't, we're looking at putting this in as a pilot program now. Some of these schools and some schools over the years have been doing some entomological work and working towards traps and different things. I've even done it in the past with some schools.
Yeah.
But the difference here is that we want to assist Dr. McDonald with her research and developing a test array for testing viruses on the mosquitoes or disease with the mosquito. So that's our role, is to provide a safe, simple, cheap, sustainable and effective trap to assist researchers to monitor and take samples so they can test and work out a lot of information, but also to help manage the problem in your backyard. There's only so many mosquitoes around.
Yeah.
For instance, if everybody in a community were to have one of these or more of these in their yard as part of us all getting together on this, the numbers that you would pull in mass from an entire community would actually have some effect.
Full production of that, what would that retail as?
Oh, you'd be under $10 for something like that here. You know.
So I'm not about to do any council's job here. Maybe I should. But if we increase, say, some sort of a levy or a small tax, or maybe, I don't know, an increase in $10 onto the rates, and every family, every household gets one of these, how would that look?
Look, however they got there, we all need to work together. anything has a cost. Everything has a cost. And if we share that through the community, if we look at what the need and the requirement, then we could all, just like we recycle bottles, we could recycle the plastics. We could get these back out into the community cheaply. And I think that there's a lot of funding available for communities if they had a good project, and we could show these. That's one way. If we could get councils to take up, for instance, along these sorts of ideas, then they could put them out there to assist their programs and involve their community in a
You approached the Environment Minister about anything?
We've sent some contacts to them, but we haven't received anything.
That's a lovely little smile that you just had then.
Yeah.
Was that one of those smiles that they kind of like hit delete? Was that one of those smiles?
I think that for my approach to it always has been, if it's worth doing, do it properly and do it yourself.
Yeah.
And we can't, I'm in a sense the exercise that me and my family and our friends and our team are putting out there is that it needs to be all cogs of the community.
Totally.
No one's greater or lesser than any other. We need everybody working. These councils and authorities cannot do this by themselves, so we need to work with them in a proactive way. Something like this is a way that we can say, well, here's our contribution in the design of, from our knowledge that we've gained, and I've gained over the last 30 years with mosquitoes, is put into this trap. And put in, and I know that the best way to get this awareness out there is through the school students and involve them and the community proactively and constructively. And it creates bridges, it builds bridges. Instead of people complaining that their council's not doing something, here they are working with that council to help and provide. And then all that information from all those students and what's going on can then be put into a global database that allows the global research community to look at the big picture of what's going on.
Dave, is this an Australian initiative?
Oh yeah, this is nowhere else. There's other education programs, there's other this and there's other that, but I don't believe there's anyone having a go at this from the private sector, which is what we are, working with all facets of the community. And we've had, we've got a company here to make our plastics factory. You couldn't get a more supportive, just on the Sunshine Coast here.
Yeah.
The university with Dr. McDonald, they've been so supportive and behind us. Peter Wellington, for Independent Minister, the Speaker of the House, he's been right behind us and supported us. So we've applied for funding with the Queensland Government, with their Ignite, to help us get this up so we can produce moulds here on the Sunshine Coast, make these traps on the Sunshine Coast from recycled and plastics here. That's jobs locally in the industry. Packaging that they go into, that's more jobs. We're looking at local packaging, local people putting these together. These then get sent to the schools. The kids take them home and use it at home. That's benefiting their parents, and their families are now getting educated through what they're learning. In the classroom they're learning about things.
There'd be nothing better for you than to sit back at somebody's barbecue one day and having a bit of a wander across and then looking down and going, ha, there it is.
Yeah.
There's the Piggott machine.
In a sense,
yes. Yeah. There it is. There's the Piggott machine.
I think when for me, it's not just, I'm not just a practitioner. Now I'm a designer, and these are, I've patented these. I've got others.
Yeah.
And so I've patented methodology of how to produce biolarvicides. I've produced different trap patents and designs and tested them. So these have been tested.
Would you mind very much, we're going to take another break, but would you mind very much that I actually invite Dr. McDonald up here?
Oh, absolutely.
I'll have to kick you off.
No, I don't mind. We're here to support Joanne with what she's doing, and it's really important. Yeah. And she's the star of this. We're here to help and support. That's our role. And I think you'll find it very interesting.
I can't wait to invite Dr. Joanne McDonald up here onto the high chair with me. So take a last good look at this gentleman here, because we'll bring him back right at the end. But when we come back from the break, we're going to be talking to Dr. McDonald and talking to her about the wonderful things that the university is doing to support this great thing. See you soon. Welcome back. You're with Gerald Pauschmann and Dave Piggott. No, we haven't got Dave. Dave has run off the set. He has run away to go and find some mosquitoes so he can come back here and show our brand new guest who's going to work with me right now and talk more about these wonderful traps. But I need to introduce Dr. Joanne McDonald. Now, you're from the University of the Sunshine Coast.
Yes.
Wonderful. I guess for me, how did you and Dave get together?
So I actually got some funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to build some diagnostic devices, and that got put on the news, and Dave heard about it and called me up and said, hey, I make mosquito traps, would you like to know more? And I was like, absolutely, yes.
So what's your research then?
So I build diagnostic devices. So think the at-home pregnancy test, really simple little test.
Don't know what you're
Probably
talking
never
about.
used it, right?
Don't know what you're talking about. No idea.
So they look a bit like this. This is the bit without the plastic casing around. And you got a little line that tells you whether you're pregnant or not. I've used them. They work quite well. And if there's only one line appears, it means that you're not pregnant. But if you get two lines, then it means that you're pregnant. And that either makes you happy or sad, depending on what you want.
Right.
So,
okay.
So we're converting these tests to be able to look for diseases rather than pregnancy. And the trouble is that these are commercial devices, and you pay $5 or $10 per strip. And if you want to tell if you've got dengue, you have to do one strip. If you want to tell if you've got malaria, you do a different strip. And so this cost really adds up. So in my research, we've been expanding this little device to put a whole heap of little dots on instead of lines. And each dot represents a different virus. And so with one strip, you'll be able to see which out of 6 or 7 different viruses you have rather than a single strip. Do you like it?
I'm guessing you don't pee on that, though.
No. And not in this case. I guess if you were self-testing to see if you had the diseases, you could try. But in this case, we're looking at whether the mosquitoes have the disease. So we've got a little tube like this, and you'll pick up a mosquito, pop it in, and you need to have a little device to give it a good crush. That sort of gets the virus out of the mosquito.
Yep.
And then here's a strip that hasn't been used yet. You just plop it in, wait a few minutes, and see how many lines appear, and that'll tell you
Wonderful.
if there's any disease.
So we just, as an example, put my water in there, and it's come up as 3 dots. Does that mean my water's been infected by some mosquito?
Well, hopefully not.
Yeah.
It is quite sensitive, or at least, so we're in the middle of building these. They're not finished yet. But this is the goal for once they are finished. It is quite sensitive, but I don't think that it would be able to detect, if a mosquito fell in the water, because that's a lot of water. You've just got to have a little bit of water.
Yeah. So let's move away from there, because I think on a scientific basis, wonderful, it's great that you're doing that, and I'm not. I'm interested in this little baby.
Yes, these traps are awesome.
So let's talk about this baby here and what really attracted you to Dave and why this trap is so good.
Yeah, so typically when we have to collect mosquitoes to be able to do this kind of testing, and the traps that we use cost about $80 each, and they're used by scientists, and they're really great. They're high tech. And when Dave showed me this little trap, it's small, it's light, it's portable. People said to me, "What's in your lunchbox?"
It does.
Isn't a lunchbox?
It does. It looks like a little Chinese thing.
That's right. And it's got nothing in it except you just put water in. It's just so simple and easy to use, and it catches mosquitoes. And the thing is that you can, because they're so cheap to produce, you can have a lot more of them out there. And so collectively, you get, even if they may not catch as many mosquitoes as your big scientific traps, you actually get more information because you can have them in more places. And a scientist, they can only go so far. They can only do so many different things. But if you get this into the hands of the community, into the hands of the school kids, they can go out there and you can have hundreds, you can have thousands of these, all collecting information. And you can get a lot better picture in your community of what diseases are out there, because scientists are unlikely to come to your house and tell you what diseases are in your house. But this is a way where you can collect your own mosquitoes and you can find out what's going on and what you need to do to get rid of the mozzies.
What's your vision? What's your goal?
So working with Dave, we want to get these into the hands of school kids. So they've done some work overseas where, in Singapore, the military can come into your house and do whatever they like to get rid of the mosquitoes, but they still have epidemics of dengue. So that's not the solution. So we think that getting this into the hands of the school kids, where they can be learning about how to spot places where mosquitoes breed, passing that on to their parents, having this real community swell around taking control of your own mosquito problems and trying to solve your own solutions using these traps. I think that we could hopefully have a much bigger effect than the scientists, the governments, the military coming in and trying to do it all for us, because there's only so many places they can be.
And I guess I really have to apologise, because I have not heard of the program, the traps, what you're doing in the research. I love the idea. So if I'm going to now go out there and tell my tribe about what's available out there, would be the goal for you is that every principal or every school knows that, hey, we should probably invest in this, put it into our school, also watch the progress of what Dave was talking about. Would that be an initial goal for you? All Gold Coast, Brisbane, Sunshine Coast schools has all this in their yard?
Yeah, so part of this is we'd like to trial the idea. So we're looking for a few select schools to start with, try it out, get some funding to make those first initial batches and really do the research to prove the effectiveness of it. And assuming that we can prove that it is effective, and I think it's going to be, then to really get the word out and try to get it in as many different places as possible. Well,
I'm sure there's schools out there that want to be the early adopters and to get this in, and we'll help you get that there. I think that's important, and I think through what you're doing and what Dave's doing, there shouldn't be a reason why this isn't in every school.
Yeah, and I think we're thinking a lot bigger than just Sunshine Coast, just Brisbane, just Queensland. I've just come back from a field trip to Brazil and Colombia. We've shown the traps around there. We've left some with some scientists there, and we're wondering if this could be a real game changer during the Rio Olympics. If people took this with them, they could collect mosquitoes and help protect themselves from Zika virus during the Olympics.
So let's just fast track this. What is it that you need that will make your day?
Well, I think that if people could hear about this and if they're excited, they could buy it. There's the crowdfunding that's running over the internet where they can sponsor a school and have their own trap at the same time. And yeah, it would be just really awesome to see the word get out that here's a product that's really cheap, really easy to use, that could really solve some serious problems. And
I'll put all the links on the screen of where we can get hold of one of these, because there'd be people screaming and throwing things at the set right now and saying, how do I get hold of one of these?
Mine.
Oh, that's yours, is it? I'll fight you for it. I'll fight a mosquito for you. So that there, it can revolutionise the way that diseases are prevented for our future.
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
So we just got to decide how we're going to do it, and if we work collaboratively. And I love Dave's idea about making it a community effort. Is there anything missing that I haven't heard you say that you need to add in so that we're very clear on how important this little black device is?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it all.
I want to change the name. I want to call it the Piggott machine.
The Piggott. I think that's a great idea.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Dave's a very quiet, self-assuming person.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Yeah, I got that.
And I think the Piggott machine has a great name, great ring to it.
We're going to take this is a very short break. We normally have a few breaks, but we're going to take a very short break because I want to invite David back on the set here, because I don't think he's got much more to say. But I'd like to close off the show with how important this is and how you can be a big part of this brand new revolution. Talk to you soon. It's like a nice little family here, isn't it? All of a sudden there was 2, now there's 3, and I've got with me Dave Piggott, who you already know, the quiet one, and Dr. Joanne McDonald from the University of the Sunshine Coast. So Dave, let's slowly start to wrap this up. What's your goal? What's your big vision that you would like to see this little piece of the Piggott machine, I'm going to call it, but we can call it what you like.
All over the world, I'd love to see that trap helping and assisting everywhere.
Yeah.
What we need right now is to support Dr. McDonald's program is we need the community to support us and go to readyfundgo.com and support the Osmosico campaign there for crowdfunding to get this into not only Queensland schools but also in some schools in Papua New Guinea and also hopefully a few other islands around. But this time...
Marvellous work, and I think from what we've already heard this morning, my main goal now is to send this out to let people know, and I'll put all the links on the screen for the Ready Go Fund. Is it the
readyfundgo.com? So Ready Fund Go.
Don't mind my dyslexic nature, but we'll do that again. Okay. Ready? What is it? Ready?
Ready Fund Go. I never had any trouble with this.
No, right. Right. So anyway, I'll just leave that in. I don't care. So it's Ready Fund Go, and they'll just click onto that and make a donation to help you get this up and running. That's what we want.
Yes. So for every trap you sponsor into one of these schools to support Dr. McDonald's program, we'll send you one as well as a reward.
Wonderful.
And that's how you can get your hands on
Well,
these
let's
traps.
do it. I don't know what you're waiting for, and look, I want the last word to be with Dr. McDonald, so...
She's the star.
So you can't even not be quiet then, could you? You had to say something. You just...
I'm good at intros.
Okay, yes. So, Dr. McDonald, any last pieces of gems that you would like to...
I think if you're heading off to the Olympics, you should try and get your hands on one of these. Take it with you. Take some mozzie repellent and go and have fun.
Go and have some fun. Would you please put your hands together for Dave Piggott? I was going to say Dr. Dave. You would like to be a doctor one day, wouldn't you?
We'll get to an honorary one.
An honorary one. Dr. See, I said it again. Dave Piggott and Dr. Joanne McDonald. Thank you so much. Now, if you have a wonderful cause or a story or something of interest that you would like to spread to the world and you need your message out there, I'm going to leave all the links on the screen. You can contact us through the Point TV, and who knows, I can shove this guy out the way and you can be sitting on either the lovely couch that we have or the high table. Contact us, we'll get you on here and we'll get your message out to the world. Thanks for watching the Point TV. I'm Gerald Pauschmann. Thank you.